Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Strompcast, episode 209. We've got a very special episode for you today. But before we get into it, let me introduce you to my co-host. First, we've got the main man, Danny. How are you doing today, man?
I'm good, brother. I'm cold. I'm not sure if it's because I'm in Toronto, Canada, or if just because being on top of the mountain is just so cold up here, brother.
I was waiting.
Yeah, I was waiting to hear that one. Yeah.
But good nonetheless.
You can see the wheel turning in his head.
And we've also got Richard. How are you doing today, man?
I'm good. I'm not as cold as Danny. I'm literally wearing shorts right now. You can't see on camera, but
freezing, brother.
I mean, it's because I'm not outside though. It is freezing cold in my ends as well.
My dad doesn't want to turn on the heat or something, bro. I don't get it. That's
Portuguese cheap. What do you need for? Put on some pants. Shut up. No, I'm good. I'm good. A much needed win, so I'll take it top of the table. You're not going to get a lot of complaints from me on that end.
No, definitely not. And we've also got Chris. How are you doing today, man?
Yeah, I mean, I'm doing well as well. I mean, highs and lows. I mean, there's some decisions, right? First half, we played well. It was only 1-0 though. Thought it could have gone either way. I thought they maybe could have got one back, made it 2-1. Who knows what would have happened? In the end, though, we got the 3 points. First win against them in 6 years for the league. Kind of crazy.
Yeah.
But thank God.
Streaks are made to be broken, as they say. But yeah, and of course, we are also joined by a very special guest. Probably he doesn't want to be here today, but we appreciate him coming nonetheless. And it is Rui from the FC Porto podcast English. How are you doing today, man?
Hey, thank you guys for having me on. And no, man, it's all good. I'm happy to be here and talk all things. I guess Sporting and Porto. If we can even talk about anything about Porto, given the performance that they gave against you guys. But no, I'm excited. I'm happy to be back on here. Thank you for having me.
No, appreciate you coming on. And you can also follow myself here, but most importantly, make sure you follow all things Alvalade on all social media platforms and podcast platforms to hear us first. But other than that, we'll get straight into it with the game that took place on a Monday evening at 8:30. So it ended Sporting 2, Porto 0, and here are the lineup for Sporting. Adan Eduardo Quaresma putting in a shift, a 5.8, by the way, for that performance. Disgraceful.
Imagine if that goal counts, what his rating would have been.
Yeah, exactly. I think the yellow card does bring it down, to be fair.
Yeah,
but
still.
fair enough. Yeah. Diamonde, Inacio, Mateus Reis, Jenny Katamo, Hulman, Morita, Pedro Gonzalez, Edwards, and Yokres. Off the bench, Nuno Santos got a yellow card from the bench, which is very impressive. But to be fair, it's Nuno Santos, so to be expected. Paulinho, Esgaio, Braganza, Trincao. And then on the Porto side, got Diego Costa, Pepe, Zepedro, Jean Mario, Zaidu, Estacio, Varela, Pepe, Galeno, Taremi, Evan Nilsson, Fabio Cardoso, Conceição, Navarro, and Andre Franco, and of course Pepe getting sent off in that game as well. I'll start off with the Sporting analyst, I suppose. Danny, what were your overall thoughts on the game?
Bro, what a game! I mean, a great game on Sporting's end, at least, right? Thought we played really well from the get go, like you said. Eduardo Quaresma, who the hell was expecting that type of performance from the kid? I was ready to sort of bring up the same points to Ruben. Like, how do you put these players on? You don't give them minutes against like an Aroca or you know, a team like that. But when it comes to a big game like Porto, you have no problem throwing in Fatawu last year, Quaresma this year. I understand Coach had an injury at the like the last play, he said, of training, so it just made sense to fill him in. But happy to be wrong there. Bro, like not much else to say. And then, of course, once Porto goes down to 10 men, we just dominate even further, though Porto did have some chances, which if that offside goal wasn't offside and it's 2-1, things can change there. You know, Sporting do like to throw away a somewhat comfortable lead. So glad at least that didn't count and we went through. But, yeah, I mean, like we hinted at, I think, before we went live, this game could have potentially should have been 4-0. I mean, given some of the controversies that I know we'll get into in a bit. Last thing for me is I just want to say, like, Victor Gyökeres deserves a statue at this point. If we do anything this season,
wow,
we have to give this guy a statue because
I think he's still waiting for your apology, to be honest, Danny.
Yeah, you're still waiting for
it's
the
coming. It's coming. It's coming. I'm
He's
writing
still
it
waiting
up.
for the Danny Saldana
I'm writing
apology
it up.
letter to come.
It's in the mail. It's in the mail. It takes a while to get there.
Letterhead.
You know what I mean? Yeah, like I work at a bank, bro. Give me like 5 to 10 business days to complete these things. You know what I mean? 2 months. Yeah, but he's been unreal because if we were to do anything this season and if we win anything of significance, obviously he's a big point into that. And then we're likely selling him for $100 million at the end of the season too. So statute pending.
Bag pending as well.
Bag for sure pending.
Facts. That's all I got to say about this game, and then we'll get into like the intricate season just a bit, I guess.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, fair enough. Rui, you can go next. And I will say, we say it to every guest from like an opposite team, feel free to be as biased as you want. Feel free to, you don't have to come in here and try and impress the sporting fans. Just whatever you want to say, the floor is yours.
No, seriously, I'm going to, as much as I love my team and everything, there's no defense. There's no excuse for the result that we had. I think Sergio got outcoached. The preparation for the team wasn't there at all. I think Danny was being a little kind, saying that, or was it Christian that said that Porto had a couple of opportunities, could have went either way in the first half. I didn't see it. I didn't see it like that. I think Porto were just a disaster from the get-go. They definitely got a little bit rattled after the first goal early on from Gyökeres. I thought Pep was containing him really well, but he got the friendly bounce and he struck that ball perfectly to put in the back of the net. And that's the goal that Sporting definitely needed. What was a little bit surprising on my end, I was kind of cool and calm watching this game because Porto usually is resilient, especially in the bigger matches. That's when they tend to play their best football. When they play against the smaller teams, they tend to struggle when they feel like they have to be in complete control of the game. When they're playing against a team that's on the level of their quality, they tend to play a much more positive style of football. It's so strange to see that, but we just, I wasn't able to be comfortable after that. Porto are usually well collected. They are a resilient team, and they usually bounce back and show some sort of fight. Even when they lose in all these big games against Benfica or Sporting, they always show some sort of character, a good performance and whatnot. But we didn't see that in this game, and it was a lost cause after the first goal. And that red card, we were fortunate to go into halftime up 2-0. Regardless what the law may say, I like to let the game play. I thought it was a really soft and harsh foul to call on Sporting's second goal. We were lucky to just be down 1-0, and we didn't even take advantage of it in the second half. And Pep, just as much as I love him, and I appreciate everything he's brought to this club and even to the national team as well, but that was just inexcusable. He should have learned his lesson from the Benfica game, as he should have learned so many lessons throughout his entire career, that it wasn't the time for that. Maybe in the 80th minute when all hell's broken loose, you can do something like that, but with 40 minutes left to go and you're still in the game, you have to take advantage and just keep yourself collected and try to lead your team. And now, not only do we lose the 3 points in this game, we're going to lose him in the next few games, or whatever the decision is going to be, if he's going to be out just 1 or 2. But it's going to be a loss to not have him in the upcoming games.
Yeah, fair enough. I would agree with that. Chris, what about your thoughts on the game?
Yeah, so I guess just to clarify, I definitely think that Sporting was on top of the game, but there's just like a couple decisive moments that could have changed it, right? Right at the end of the half, the Galeno header, Adan makes a nice foot save. Adan didn't really have much to do all half, but right at the end of the half, he had a decent shot on target. He had to intervene. If that goes in, Porto don't deserve to be drawn 1-1, but they would have been.
Still 1-1.
Yeah,
and it's an easy save, but we all know with Adan, there's no such thing as an easy save.
There's never been
it was
such
like a
thing as an
6 out of
easy
10. I'll give him a
save.
little credit.
That's his best save of the season, but
That might be his best save of the year for him.
And then I think there's obviously the offsides goal, which was in the net, and then there's another like a through ball to Evan Nielsen. He's in. He just doesn't really hit it cleanly. Again, if that's on target, it's maybe 2-1. I don't know. I don't know what could have happened. What kind of refereeing decisions could have potentially awaited us if it did get to 2-1? Who knows? Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of the talk is and the focus is going to be on the referee, but enough can't be said about some of the performances. Quaresma, Mateus Reis, Humland, even Morita, I thought was good. Plot a bit wasteful, but he got his
You
name
sure
on
he
the
could have
score
had a hat
sheet.
trick?
He got his name on the score sheet, even though he made that one. He cut it as close as he could have. Gyökeres, I mean, we can't. There's nothing more to say about him. I mean, he's just a tank, a beast. Like nothing I've ever seen at Sporting. Edwards, I guess it's a sort of quiet game from him, but he did flash his brilliance once. Forced a nice save out of Diogo Costa. We were on top of them from the jump, to be honest, and doesn't always work out like this. The better team doesn't always win. You don't always take your chances. But I think in this case, they did,
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I think just from the beginning to finish, you guys were on top of us in the midfield. Eduardo Quaresma, when I saw Quatters on the sideline, I was like, okay, this is an advantage for us. And I was hoping for that nice duo of Ivan Nielsen and Teremi to have a good performance in this game, like I don't want to say like they usually do against Sporting, but they've had some pretty good performances over the last few seasons. And that was non-existent. I thought Eduardo Quaresma really showed what his potential was a couple of years ago. I know he's been a bit of a disappointment, but man, what an impressive performance. Galeno was non-existent throughout the entire game. Outside of that header right before halftime, non-existent. He won every single battle against Galeno, which is not easy to do. As streaky of a player as Galeno is, he is still wonderful on his day. But Eduardo Quaresma everywhere, all over in that back line, he was just rock solid. And you have to give credit to the other two center backs. They were solid. Teremi was non-existent. Pepe couldn't really get much done. The midfield was sensational. And then, I have to add to Gyökeres, man, that guy, he's the real deal. He is an absolute animal. And he bullied Pep throughout the entire 48 minutes that Pep was on the field. And it was almost a no contest. So you guys definitely got the homework done. Conceição was totally outcoached. And the most disappointing thing was the adjustments going into the second half on Sergio Conceição was nothing. Even with the red card, he made no substitutions, no real adjustments or anything. He had to wait until the 75th minute again to make some sort of changes. And by then it was already too late. So tough to deal with on this end, but it was a real impressive result. I know Richard and I talked about it on our show when he was on last week. It was hard to say who was like the best team out of the big three because I mean, I don't want to say that all three of us are on the same level. I really do think that after this game, even before this game, I think Sporting are the most rounded team, more balanced team out of the big three this year. And this performance just was a statement win, and it showed all that.
Yeah, most definitely. We did get a question in here for you from Dark Angel of Doom. He says, do you think this is the worst back four since 2004? Obviously, Pepe is like one of the best, in my opinion, one of the best centre backs of all time. I think he's very underrated in that aspect as well. But obviously, it does have the sort of hothead streak that leads to moments such as what we've seen. So Pedro, I believe 25, 26, only just been promoted to the B team. And I know you've had a lot of injuries, but there's also been a bit of squabbles with David Carmo and things like that. But what are your overall thoughts on that back four at Porto?
I'm surprised he chose 2004. Sorry to turn because that team won the Champions League in 2004.
Yeah,
and they had like
no, I think he's saying in like the last 20 years, like out of the last 20 years.
I was gonna say because that's kind of harsh. Like they won the Champions League that year with like a legendary back four.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes more sense.
Yeah, I think so. And I don't want to say this is an absolute terrible back line. I think it's just old and stale. And you look at the numbers going into the season. For the majority of the season, Porto had the least goals suffered. And you can say that 4 of those goals were just, give me's, just fundamental mistakes that should never happen. So I think there are worse back lines. I think this might be the worst one since 2004 because it's just so old and stale. And there's way too many mistakes going on. And as much as I love Pep, he's 41 years old and we're still relying on him. There has to be something else there. Where's the Eder Militão or the Philippe that we should, those type of players that should have been brought up in the last 3 or 4 years since they left, basically. And we haven't really had a center back like that. We let Mbemba go for nothing, but where's the other guy to step up and make the job easier? We can't rely on Marcano. We can't rely on, Fabio Cardoso. We all know he's just a average center back in Portugal. He's not your everyday starter. So I would probably say, yeah, this is probably the worst or one of the worst ones that we've had in the last 20 years for sure.
And from an outsider's perspective, I don't know too much about the situation with David Carmo, but what have Porto fans heard from the sort of there seems to be a disconnect between him and Conceição or him and the structure? What obviously a very expensive signing, 20 million, I think it was.
Yeah.
So what's the situation there?
I have no idea. I don't really get the whole situation with David Carmo. Obviously, last season it took a couple of games for him to start to get a rhythm, and then he played a few good games, even against Benfica in the first game of the season of last season. It was at the Dragão when we lost 1-0. He had a really good performance in that game. It was just unfortunate that we were down to 10 men. So I don't fault him in that game. I thought he did great in a big game, in a Clásico. But then a couple of games later, it was his last performance of the season. We didn't even see him again. I think he had like one appearance in the 89th minute off as a substitute. And sort of the same thing happened this year. I guess there's one mistake that happens and Sergio just punishes him, but you kind of just see the same players who are not at the level that they should be and giving the performances that Porto need play every single week, like Zaidu, like Taremi, and a couple of others. So I don't know what the whole beef is or the whole relationship or what the whole situation is behind it. I think it's harsh, and I think it's kind of wrong to do this because this guy's a 20 million euro investment. You have to start playing him at some time. This was the first season I understand where he's not going to get as much playing time, but the second season, and with this defense being as thin as it is, you have to start playing him. So it's a frustrating situation. A lot of Portistas are upset because he may have made a mistake against Estoril in the Taça da Liga game, but the game was already over at that point. And then you punish him there, and we're not going to see him for how many games? It just doesn't make sense.
Yeah, no, that fair enough. I get the frustration, and I feel maybe not so much under Amorim. Well, I guess with a few players like maybe like Fatau and even earlier on like maybe Machu and Ristovski, we had sort of similar instance, but obviously none being as in like sort of expensive investment like Karma. So it'll be interesting to see, especially with a result like this, if any drastic changes come into the 11, especially with Pepe being suspended for your next game. Maybe I don't know how many games he'll eventually be suspended for if it is more than one, but be definitely something to keep an eye out, I think, and probably integral to the title race at this point as well. Because even though Porto lost, for me, they're still in the title race. The big, like you said, I think it's not a case that we're on the same level. I just think I don't think anyone has shown that they can run away with it. Obviously, Sporting dropping points to Benfica. I know we were a man down, but still happened. Drop points to Guimarães, which was we can blame referees all we want, but we lost. Dropping points to Braga. Obviously, Benfica dropping points to Boavista and other teams here and there. So for me, it's just like no one has looked good enough, and we are still in December, so there's still a lot of football to be played. But before I pass it on to you, Richard, I'll just quickly give my share of events. So I thought on the first goal, obviously a great goal by Gyökeres. I think you can ask some questions of Diogo Costa. Maybe his positioning was a bit off for the eventual shot, and maybe could have got down a bit quicker. But I think it was a very low driven shot, which is very difficult for goalkeepers to save. But yeah, nothing. I cannot praise Eduardo Quaresma anymore for someone of his, not his age, because I think he's still 21, 22, but from having his only performance this season, I think, was being subbed on in the 45th minute in a game and then being subbed off in the 65th minute straight after, to then playing one of the most important games, not of the season, but just in general, a game against Porto. I know that obviously the main rivalry is with Benfica, but with the sort of emotion that's been into the Porto games, obviously the one from 2 years ago where tensions did spill over, and there was chairs thrown. There was lawsuits for Verandas, Hugo Viana, etc. That it does feel like this game always has an extra sense.
It's always Hugo Viana, by the way. He's a little
shithead.
Trouble and inserts himself.
He is an instigator. They call him Tom because he loves to get into some foolery.
but Quaresma, just every tackle just felt like you hear the analogies of like in the NBA where it's like he's playing on like a 10-day contract. He wants to make a mark. That's what it felt like.
He's on the tryout almost.
Yeah, he was playing to sort of prove something, and you saw it. But the only issue I had with him that second half, when Pepe got that second yellow, he just flipped a bit. I'm not saying he played bad, but there was one play where he tried to pass it back to Dan, and Taremi read it. And I think since that play, he didn't last, I think, longer than 10 minutes, but he just felt like he lost a bit of his confidence. And maybe the goal being ruled out, because obviously he started to cry on the pitch, which I think we've seen some mixed reactions from all fans, I would say, on that. But I feel like it probably did take a lot out of him. And then the emotion probably got the better of him on the day. And that's where he sort of fell off. But for me, I know Gyökeres was fantastic, but I'll still have Eduardo Quaresma as my man of the match for the circumstance alone, just him coming in. But for me, every single player, apart from one I will mention in a minute, I thought was fantastic. Did their part so well. And the only player I'm going to single out is Pedro Gonçalves, because Richard said it earlier, he could have had 3 or 4 goals. He missed
that one sitter, and I put it he should be on a hat trick.
Was through on goal. I think there was another pass from Gyökeres. All he has to do is place it either side of the keeper, and he puts it wide. Right. And it's just like
there was one when he put it right at. There was one on another fast break where I think it was Gyökeres again cut it right back to Gonçalves, and instead of trying to like go either side, he shoots it kind of right at Diogo Costa. And like literally go either side of him, you probably get it in. I know there's a lot like everyone's kind of collapsing around him and collapsing around you, but you could have placed it any better than that.
Yeah, and to be fair to Diogo Costa, there was that one save from Marcus Edwards, which I thought was fantastic. It was a great shot, and I thought it was going in, but it was a great stretch to save it. And I do like Diogo Costa as a goalkeeper. I feel like, again, he's let down by the back four at Porto, especially in recent times. But yeah, I think everyone played their part. Even Dan, who obviously everyone knows that we don't particularly like. He was very good with the ball at his feet, was calm, collected. He was even laughing at some points. That's how calm he was. He was laughing, he was smiling. And even guys off the bench, I thought Paulinho came on, had a really good cameo. Arguably should have got a goal. And we'll get into the referee decisions in a minute. But even as Gaio had some plays that, shielding the ball and just being solid defensively, probably picked up a stupid yellow card against Conceição.
It's crazy that Amorim opted for Gaio at center back against Guimarães, and then he could have just ran it back, or even Neto,
and chose not to opt for Quaresma.
Yeah, I was convinced we were going to see Neto because
never let them know your next move. That's what I say.
A few years ago, when Coates was injured, and I think someone else might have been suspended, or it might have been Vidal who was suspended, it was Neto who came in, and he was very good in that game. Well, bear in mind, that was 2 years ago, and since then he's had a collapsed lung and knee issues and such. And probably we're not going to see much of Neto past.
Yeah, but a game-winning goal against Dumiens in the Taça de Portugal. Never forget.
Exactly, man. But yeah, everyone came in and I thought was fantastic. Brigança unlucky not to get an assist for that Paulinho goal as well. I feel it was one of these rare times against Porto that Amorim came in, had a game plan, a clear game plan, and stuck to it, and it worked out. Because we've seen, definitely, there's no doubt that Sergio Conceição was the better manager in these games up until this one, obviously. But I feel like Sergio Conceição outclassed Amorim in these last few games. And the thing is with Sergio Conceição, as good as he is a tactician, I think it's the man management aspect that he does really well. I feel like, particularly, maybe not in this game and not this season, but season before, those players would kill for Sergio Conceição. And I think it was embodied in players like Pepe. And I think someone mentioned in the chat earlier, losing Otavio, losing Uribe, losing Mbemba, those guys that sort of embodied that spirit. And I think that's where the Porto team sort of lacks now. They don't have anyone, well, apart from Pepe, I would say. And maybe Chico Conceição as well, to have that sort of energy and that sort of willingness to have. But yeah, I thought from minute 1 to minute 90, I thought we were fantastic. But like Danny said earlier, I think due to the Benfica game, I was never like saying, "Oh, easy, like we've won this." Even when it was like the 90th minute, we got that 4th goal disallowed. I was like, we're still not through. We need to, as soon as the whistle blows, then I'll be happy, because like I said, the Benfica game and other games in the past, we never learned to celebrate too early. But yeah, other than that, Richard, what were your overall thoughts on the game?
Nothing too crazy. I think we're gonna get into Kazus in a bit, because apparently there were some Kazus. Yeah, Jokeres was phenomenal. I thought he was great goal. Kind of just spun Pep around. Great job on the assist. Really unselfish. Probably could have had another couple assists. Like we said, if Pot buries at least one or two more of those. Hulman was great, and yeah, I'm not going to spend too much time on Eduardo Quaresma, because I think everything that's been said that could be said has been said. Like, he was great all game. For the most part, it sucks that assist got robbed from him, because it was such a nice team goal as well. But it is what it is. We were on top of them, like we said, for pretty much the whole game. I will say Pep is an idiot for that second yellow. You've got to be smarter in that circumstance. I think any chance for Porto to get back into the game is killed by that second yellow. It's irresponsible.
It's done by Pepe, but very smart from Mateus Reis. There is no doubt about that. Is Mateus Reis using the dark arts against Porto?
Yeah, there's a little shenanigans for sure from Mateus Reis. I'm not gonna.
Do you guys think he bit his lip?
I think that if he's not bleeding, it's not a red card.
I think if he's not bleeding, because that ref looked for a long time. He waited a long time to go to the VAR, and then he looked at the VAR for a long time.
He just kept watching.
He really didn't want to. He really didn't want to give him a card, but he kind of had to.
Yeah, I think the blood definitely 100%. I'm just joking about the biting the lip thing. I mean, he connected with him.
He connected,
yeah.
Pep was. I mean, even before he was booked, it just felt like a game where
it was
either gonna get sent off or he was going to only not get the Portuguese league game.
It was the instant with Hulman that made me think that he was going to go, because they sort of had a pushing match with each other.
In the box.
In the ball, like the set player or whatever.
And then he said to Hulman in English, saying, "You're in Portugal, speak Portuguese." And I was like, "This guy has lost his head."
We said in the chat, I'm like, unless he does something really stupid and egregious, I felt like he wasn't going to get sent off, and then he did something really stupid, and I was like, oh, there it is. And he got.
If it wasn't then, I feel like he would have been sent off eventually.
Do you really think it would? I think if he hadn't been sent off, then he wasn't going off.
Yeah, it depends. He probably would have gotten more unhinged as it went on, though.
That's just the cynic in me.
Because even the first yellow is so dumb, because he won the ball and they had possession, and he just brings down Jokeres for no reason.
Yanks him down. It's just such. You're 40 years old. Be a man. Like, just do better. I say this every week to someone. Like, be better. Like, you need to be self-aware in that situation. And I think it just kills them from that on, because at least 1-0 down and at 11 men, you're always in with a chance to win. Now you're 1-0 down and you're down a man. It makes that little hill seem like a mountain all of a sudden, and it showed. And they were very fortunate to that it was only 2-0. Ref decisions, but I thought Diogo Costa made a couple good saves as well to keep them alive. The one on Marcus Edwards, like you said, Sam, that was a standout save for me as well. Nothing too much on my end. Like, we're gonna get into, I think, the causes and the funny stuff in a minute here. So.
Yeah, I do want to give one more special shout out to Jenny Katamo, because I thought maybe in this game, I don't know if an attacking wing back would have been the move. I thought maybe this guy would have done better, but he was very good, getting the assist the pre-assist.
He gets the hockey secondary assist. It's the brilliant move to get around the midfielder, whoever it is, and then the initial pass to Jokeres, who then goes on the run.
Yeah, but I like I said, I thought everyone was excellent. But yeah, before I move on, obviously, Rui, I know it would be hard for you to give a man match of the Porto side, but who would you think was Sporting's most integral player?
Yeah, I would agree with you guys. I think I would say Eduardo Quaresma for coming in for the circumstances, right? You're losing your most experienced center back, arguably the best center back in the league, and he comes in and has a performance like that. Like, he was a standout center back in this game. He played a vital role. And Porto likes to attack on that left side with Galeno, and multiple times he shut him down. And it wasn't just just positioning or anything. He was just reading the game. He was always 2 steps ahead of him, and that's what experienced quality center backs do. And for that, I would give it to him given the circumstances. But it's hard not to give it to Gyökeres as well for just being an animal.
That's fair.
Fair enough. Richard, what about you? Who is your man of the match?
I think I would give it to Gyökeres still, just because both goals are down to him. It's a great assist on the pot one. There are a lot of players would be selfish in that situation, maybe try to have a shot. But I think he was smart enough to recognize his ankle was very quickly being cut down, makes the pass. Brilliant goal. We've seen most players either immediately go down in the box in that situation against Pep because it's Portuguese league. Or they lose the ball because Pep is a good defender. But he battles out of it and then gets a really quick shot. I think part of it is it catches Diogo Costa a little bit by surprise. I think maybe he wasn't quite expecting a shot. That's why it goes in at the short angle. But I'm going to give it to him. He was phenomenal all game. He does not stop running. Any loose ball, any 50-50 ball, he is like a Mack truck sprinting. It's unbelievable watching him play.
Yeah. Definitely. Chris, what about you? Who is your man of the match? You meet Chris.
My bad. It's tough not to give it to Gyökeres, right? Although, Rich, you had me thinking though. I remembered there was actually one moment in the second half where Gyökeres opts for the shot, but I actually think if he squares it to Edwards, it's probably a goal.
That's true.
So he did the right thing eventually on the Pedro Gonçalves chance. I thought actually maybe he passed it too early to Pot, and Pot wasn't even going to have an easy finish. It wasn't the easiest finish, but he had enough time to kind of trickle it in. Yeah, I mean, he just, who probably hates. I mean, we mentioned before, he had a ridiculous streak of like playing 90 minutes and not getting subbed out, which ended about a month ago. But Paulinho, man, I mean, the man just won't come off the field, right? So there's just less opportunities for him to get in there. And to be fair to Paulinho, he has made the most of his little 15-minute cameos. But, I mean, he's not getting, unless it's like a Taça game or something like that, he's not getting 45 minutes like in a league game or in a Europa League game. It's just, unfortunately, not going to happen unless he starts on the wing, The middle is locked up for 90 minutes for most games. Insane work rate. Yeah, I mean, what more can we say?
The thing is, as well, like you said, if it's going to be Paulinho coming on the wing, that means it's either going to be Trincao or someone else. Maybe someone like if Jenny does move up the field, someone else is going to be getting affected by those minutes. And to be honest, I don't really recall seeing that much of Trincao so far. But like, again,
if he did anything, I forget about it.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I'll give mine to Eduardo Quaresma. I feel like just the occasion, like we said, a loss of a captain, not just a very good centre back, but
your main centre back.
Yeah, the main centre back and the leader. I think the one good thing is that Hjulmand is a natural leader in himself, and you see it throughout the whole season already. That he is the one to motivate, and he is also the one to not stop talking to the referees. And at one point, I'm just like,
he's in every
relax. Yeah, exactly. And I will say Hjulmand and Ignacio getting a yellow card means they missed the next game. I don't know if they missed Tondela or they missed.
See, I thought
it was the Taça da Liga game.
I thought the Taça da Liga counted. The Taça de Portugal didn't. But I read an article today that they were out for the Portimonense game. So maybe they changed it.
Yeah, I'm not sure because I remember it used to carry over to just.
And then it had me thinking, like, Porto is already out of the Taça da Liga, right? Is Pep's gonna just burn one of his suspension game in a game?
On a nothing game, anyways.
But I guess that's not the case.
Yeah, I think the good thing is if it is Tondela, we don't need as long as we don't lose.
You need a draw because you're ahead on goal difference. So
yeah, but yeah, I'll give my man of the match to Quaresma. But when I say generally, I think a lot of people in this team could have been man of the match just because of how good the whole team played. I think you could probably give it to anyone but Pedro Gonçalves and it would be correct. But other than that, we'll move on to the controversial calls. And spoiler, there is quite a lot of them. I'll try and get
There
them.
might be a couple.
There might be a couple. I'll try and get them in order, and I think this is the first one. And I will play the video because there's no Sport TV logo, so I think we're fine.
Okay.
And that is the sort of stamp / coming together of Gyökeres and Pepe. I'll start with the Porto fan, just for your opinion. Do you think this was not a red or a yellow? What did you think? Was it a foul? Was it not?
I mean, you look at the play, it looks like two guys going for the ball, and the referee doesn't really call much on it because it looks like two players going for it and Pep falls. Do I think it's a red card? No. He obviously steps on the back of his foot, so I guess the referee's going to make what he would if he saw. I doubt it would be a red. So I know a lot of Portistas are upset about no red card on that. I mean, for me, I think it's all right. A yellow card is okay. Did he get a yellow for this?
And they didn't even give a foul. I think they gave.
No, he didn't give. He didn't get. Yeah, he didn't call it correct. Yeah,
Call a foul, sure, but
I mean,
argue it was a red
you could
or
call a
crazy.
foul on it. But I'm not gonna be upset because these referees, they go into these big games with a lot of pressure, and they're not gonna see everything. That's hard to see, especially from the distance that he was. He wasn't right in front of it. So I kind of see how he missed it, but at the end of the day, I doubt that's a red. Maybe a yellow if he sees the stepping, but that's not enough for a red, in my opinion.
Yeah, the only reason that scared me about this one was, as Chris and Richard will know, is that Europa League game versus Racal. That is pretty much how he got a straight red card. So I think this one was definitely lighter contact than the one against Racal, and I still feel like this one was accidental. And I think, I do feel like Pepe makes most of it. I know that will hurt, but the way Pepe was up straight afterwards, I get the complaints, and I feel like maybe a foul and a yellow should be fair, or maybe just a foul. Definitely shouldn't be just a throw-in, but I do think it was accidental, I will say. And maybe that's my bias talking. But Richard, what about you?
On this specific play, it's a foul. I think it's absolutely a foul. I don't think you can really argue a red card. I think it's just kind of an unfortunate, like it happens. It's a 50-50 ball. They're both kind of running. Yeah. It's kind of just your feet get tangled up sometimes. If he gave a yellow, I wouldn't even been upset. But I think arguing for a straight red card when I don't think there's really ill intent. I think red cards are for flagrantly like ill intent challenges, or you're already on like a second yellow, you've been warned kind of thing. Like this is just kind of it's a foul, maybe a yellow, nothing more, and we move on with our day.
I think that's just part of his stride that just steps on him. I think if he was going in lunging for the ball or trying to win the ball,
it would look much
then
more
then it's going to be more intentional. So on this, it looks accidental. Mm-hmm. Is it a foul? Yes. Does he deserve a yellow? I guess that's up to the referee. We see something like this where it's called a yellow, and sometimes it's not. I'm not going to make a big deal out of this one for sure. There was a lot more issues on Porto's side in this game for sure over this.
I do think if maybe the contact on the studs is higher, maybe on Pepe's calf, then you can say, okay, maybe that needs to look at VAR. But I think it was genuinely just coming together, nothing intentional there. But yeah, Chris, what about you? Chris, you muted again, mate.
Damn it. Anytime the stamp is involved, it's always risky business, right? Yeah. So definitely catches him on the Achilles. Not a great spot to get stamped. I think it's a yellow as well.
Yeah, fair enough. And then on to, at least for three of us, the most heartbreaking VAR call that happened.
This I want to throw. I was all at a tizzy.
What a ball with his left foot to put it right on Gyökeres' head, by the way.
Oh, it's a hell of a ball on the run, almost like pictured. Couldn't have done it much better himself. Yeah,
but obviously I can't show the video for this one, but it basically the trip on Jean Mario. Chris, I'll start with you since I finished you last time. What were your thoughts on this one?
Didn't even see anything happen in real time. Saw the line when they showed the replay. I was like, okay, he's good. The line's good. And I see him holding up, but I'm like, what could the hold up possibly be? What is he possibly going to look at? I thought he was going to look at the offsides,
Yeah.
which sometimes they do, but it is incredibly rare. I was like, I don't think it was like that close that you need to go and look at it. I think he's
Yeah.
onside by like what 60 centimeters. Like it's not like.
As soon as the ball comes back, I scream like, "Get back to Jokers! Get back on side!"
And
he
then
was
I
onside in
start to
second
see they
line.
start to show, you start to see what the referee's seeing, and it's like, oh my God, are they
With
really?
the fall?
They really about to do this? And they did the most incriminating angle of this instance, where you're looking straight on at it, like
from the
like
end.
behind the Porto goal, basically. It appears that they don't show that angle to the referee, and from that angle, so my opinion actually went on. Oh, it's actually there's a bit of contact. The legs clatter maybe, but it's never a foul. Quaresma only has eyes for the ball and where he's running, right? He never even looks at João Mario. Might not even know that he's there. So my opinion goes on, maybe the legs clatter, but it's never a foul. So once I see the angle from behind the Porto goal, I'm thinking actually now, like, I think João Mario might even kick himself by accident. And I'm not even convinced that Quaresma actually kicks his leg. Whether it's Quaresma accidentally brushing his leg or João Mario kicking himself, I don't think either one is a foul. Certainly not enough for the video ref to intervene and pull back a goal. Definitely one of the crazier ones we've seen this season, and we've seen quite a few good ones.
Yeah, definitely. And now to Rui, what are your thoughts on the disallowed goal here?
I don't understand the law of the game on this. For me personally, I'm a very lenient.
If it makes
I'm a
you
very
feel better, I
lenient
don't know if
referee.
the refs knew the law of the game either when they called.
Yeah,
this.
that's the thing. So I don't know. I feel that when attackers make contact with a defender, like on the final third or in the opposing half field, it's always every little ticky thing. It's always called immediately. I mean, this one, I don't understand the law of it, but for me personally, I'm a more hands-off referee. I like the physicality. I like to let the players play. So on this, I don't really like the call. I think there is contact on João Mario. The thing that I have is I don't know how much of a difference it would have made on the play because Eduardo was gone.
He was already running, right? João Mario was at a standstill.
João Mario was.
Right? Yeah.
If you
That's
look
risky, bro.
Yeah.
Wait, you know what?
He was
It's a special occasion. Why not?
Special case.
With the logo dead in center as well. Oh well.
But I mean, he was. I don't know. When you keep just one more time. I think he clips his left back leg, but at the same time, they're both.
Look at his head. His head never even like looks at João Mario.
Yeah. I don't know. I think it's just one of those unfortunate ones, to be honest. I think the second was the second. I guess we'll get into it afterwards. This one I can kind of understand, but I just don't really understand the law of the game. As harsh as it is that the call was made for you guys, like I said, we were lucky to be down just 1-0 at halftime. Me as a referee, I don't think I would have called it, but I can see how whatever the law is, if it is the law or not, I can kind of see how a referee could call this one back.
Yeah. Okay. Richard, what about you?
I'm in the same opinion as Chris. I was very much like, what are they calling it back for? I thought it was maybe the offside. Because my initial thing when the third ball goes back to Quaresma on the 1-2, I was just about screamed at my TV, "Get back onside!" So I'm thinking, oh, maybe he was just up, but then on the initial replay, I'm like, okay, he's not offside, he's well onside. And then it comes back to this, and I'm like, oh, they're looking at a potential foul, but I'm like, I'm with Chris, he doesn't look at it really at any point. Even if there's contact, it's very minimal contact. Like, to me, it's not a foul. I just think they were inventing a call. Like, it was a harsh call on Quaresma to call that a foul. I don't think it's a foul. There's zero intent, I think, on his part. There's such minimal contact on it. I think it's harsh to call this goal back.
Yeah, fair enough. So for me, I do see the contact, but the thing is, football is also a contact sport. Not every single bit of contact for me is a foul. And I think for me, like Danny and Chris, like Rich and Chris said, that Eduardo Quaresma's focus is solely on the ball. If he turns his head and watches João Mario do that and clips him, then I say, okay, the intent is there. You can see it. That's a foul. But for me, it's just, I don't think there's enough contact for João Mario to go down. I understand he does clip him. And I think if you watch the video, I'm not going to show it anymore just in case you do get the copyright strike.
Settle down there.
If you do watch it carefully, there is the tiniest bit of contact. And I think what was weird about the play, and I don't know if you guys recall, that the ref almost blew for the foul straight away. He didn't even watch the goal go in. He ran straight to João Mario, like hand on the like pointing to the floor
right away.
And then the goal went in. So I don't know if he was already going to give the foul, if the goal didn't lead anywhere or something. But for me, it seemed like he had in his mind that was a foul already. And then looking at VAR, it was weird because it sort of, he made the gesture of like, is there even a coming together, or like he shrugged his shoulders or something. And I was like, that's a goal then. And then obviously he came back and gave the foul. And it's just like, man, I can understand it because I do feel like if that was us, I would also be like, well, he did clip him. But
yeah,
I just think just because of the way Eduardo Quaresma is not looking for João Mario, he's not even he doesn't even realize he's really there, I suppose. And he's run through and did the cross, like Chris said, it was a pin perfect cross with his left foot, a winger's cross from centre back, which is fantastic. And then obviously the famous picture with Hjulmand shouting, screaming at Eduardo Quaresma full of tears. I mean, I think it's more annoying for us because it was such a beautiful moment of.
It was such a euphoric moment for us.
Quaresma was crying. He's so emotional just for it to get ruled out.
Yeah.
If that's Nuno Santos, we're like, fine. But I think it's because it was Eduardo Quaresma full of tears that it's like, for us, it was
we had something special.
Yeah. But
we might need a Gyökeres goal tally official and goal tally
take it away
with disallowed goals at the end of the season.
With disallowed goals, here's what it would be.
Dude, I think that's the third or fourth one now.
At least.
Yeah.
At least.
Danny, since you have come back, this is currently the refereeing decision we're talking about. I think we're pretty much all in the agreement that it was a harsh foul and we don't think it should be. Do you have that same sentiment?
Absolutely. Kind of crazy. I was watching CMTV with my dad actually earlier, and there was one guy who was making the argument that he still runs through him, but just like the shot just before he passes it off to Morita, you kind of see, and I love João Mario personally, but you kind of see João Mario like sticking his back leg out. So it's like, even if he tried his very hardest, like what's the expectations there then? Like just have the player stop? That's kind of ridiculous. He's already in a running motion. Mm-hmm. Not even looking at João Mario at all. I feel bad for the kid, bro. This goal brought him to tears, and your tears meant nothing, brother. Horrible.
Yeah, I was just saying if that was any other player, if it was like Nuno Santos, we wouldn't have cared. But because it was Eduardo Quaresma, he was crying, man. It was just unfair to rule out the goal. But leads us on to, I guess, not the most controversial one, because I think everyone already said that it was a foul, but definitely the most controversial in what am I watching? And I mean, I'll start off. Of course, it's a red card. And like I said, Matheus Reis is very clever, and I'm not. He arguably probably should have got a yellow as well.
I actually think that that would have been fair if he came back from that review and gave Matheus Reis a yellow. I mean, that's fair.
But I think it's because they can't give yellows back from VAR. I don't know how it works, but I don't think they can give yellows from VAR. But
here's the thing: they can if they're looking at it for a potential expulsion. So Pep, in theory, could have got a second yellow because they went and looked at it for a potential violent conduct direct red. They can't go and look at a mild incident for a second yellow, if that makes sense.
Here's the crazy thing. Let me just piggyback off of that one point. If you see in this picture, you see that little highlighter yellow person looking straight at this fucking incident?
Yeah, who's that dude?
That's the referee. How
Oh,
are you
yeah.
not giving both of them a yellow, and then boom, that's Pep's second yellow. He's not suspended for, like Rui was saying, I don't know if it's 2 games or what it may be, right? And it's still no complaints either way. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
let me also just quickly add, how much of this do you got? Like that blood on his lip? Sure, it could be Pep. I
Fake?
personally think when he's on the floor
Right back.
holding his face, he's biting his lip.
I did see
It's
some.
still
He was
foul.
on the ground for a while.
for a
bro.
minute.
Exactly. And then he
He was
gets
there
up
for a
and then
minute.
he's bleeding. I don't know, bro.
I did see.
I mean,
a
that's
Porto fan
clever,
tweet.
bro. That must have hurt, bro. Biting your own
Yeah,
lip so
like you
hard.
to bite your lip to the
to
point
draw
where it bleeds
blood?
would hurt. But like
That would
I
hurt,
respect-
man.
Brother.
I respect
That was the
that
first thing that came to my mind, that he bit the
he
lip,
bit his lip or something.
because that's something that I would have done too. If I was in this position, I would have bit my own lip
Biting it
too.
Open.
Same.
Yeah, I did see a tweet. I think it's from a Porto fan say that they had like blood capsules in his mouth.
Ketchup packets, yeah.
like it's
Like
pro
the
wrestling.
WWE.
Yeah, they just had it on standby just in case Pepe
Yeah,
decided to swing
they
for
were
one of
just
them.
to be safe. They never. That's a theory.
But yeah, I think smart from Mateus Reis, dumb from Pepe, and like I said, I think Pepe's head was already gone by this point. And then, you know, we've all sort of watched Pepe's career unfold, and once Pepe loses his head, it's game over
Game
for
over. It's GG.
for whatever team's playing. We saw the most infamous one, obviously, when he played for Real Madrid and he kicked that guy on the floor like 5 times in a row.
Beat the shit out of that guy. Yeah.
And I think this was one of their moments. Like I said, very clever for Mateus Reis. I'm surprised he didn't get a yellow, because I think that would have been fair, because he did push Pepe in the back. There's no doubt about it. But you know, I think it was obviously intentional to get Pepe to react, and that's exactly what he did. And you know, ignore the caption on the tweet, by the way. I was only joking. It's
The
just
straight red is a
lighthearted
bonus.
friend-
The straight red was a
joke.
bonus. He only needed to draw a yellow, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And
Damn,
I do.
Portuguese is pretty good there, brother.
I've got someone to translate it for me. I was like, can you just double check this is
Hey,
fine?
it was Kevin, was it? You probably DM'd Kevin.
Hey.
Like, Kev.
It wasn't Kevin. It was Sophia, actually. So shout out to Sophia. Thank
Shout
you for
out
that.
Sophia.
But yeah, what was I going to say? But yeah, I think Mateus Reis is sort of not our version of Pepe, but he is someone who has that mentality of just being annoying.
Yeah.
And I think we've seen it over, not just in his playing ability, because trust me, that can be really annoying for us, but like in terms of just being sort of like the master of the dark arts is what they call it. I feel like we've got 2 of them, Nuno Santos included, with that
I was
as
gonna
well.
say between like Porto has Pep, we have Reis and Nuno Santos, which
Nuno
combined
Sanchez-
will
And Nuno
have like the
Sanchez
same level of
slowly
fuckery as Pep.
transforming
You
into
know,
Voldemort too. By the way, with the friggin'
love
hair
it.
and
Love
the
it.
complexion.
But yeah, they had Pepe and Otavio. Obviously, Otavio is now in
True.
Saudi.
Yeah.
And I think, and I think now, Nuno Santos got a yellow card from the bench. I think that
Yeah.
if anything sums up Nuno Santos, it is that getting a yellow card for
Not
keeping
giving
the
the guy
ball
the
away
ball.
from-
We're not,
we were
we're not
watching
handing
the
him the
game.
ball and like holding it away.
I was watching
Yeah.
the game with my dad, and my grandfather actually came over to watch the game, and my grandfather's like, "Who got a yellow card?" And man's like, "Well, somebody on the bench." But like, who? I'm like, probably Nuno Sanchez. And then I'm like, "Oh yeah, I was Nuno Sanchez." Definitely got
They
a
were-
fucking.
It was literally like the 25th minute.
They were
of the
arguing.
game.
Yeah, it was like a
shit,
half
bro.
hour
They
in. It
were
was so
arguing that
quick.
it shouldn't have been a card. Him and Paulinho.
I'm not sure if it's been mentioned yet. Let me just also say I found it hilarious that Ruben Amorim takes off Eduardo Quaresma, who's on a yellow and playing the
What's
game
on
of his
Nuno
life,
Sanchez?
Yeah.
for Nuno Santos on
Yeah.
a yellow.
Any
So
justification if he's like, "Yo, I
it's-
want to get him out of here because I don't trust him with the yellow."
Yeah,
You're
and you
putting
trust
in
Nuno Santos
Nuno
more?
Santos,
Dude who's already on a yellow.
who has the
on
yellow
field.
already. That was crazy.
crazy.
Show
Loved it.
me, make it make sense. I saw them like
Is-
you're taking a dude on a yellow, and you've got a guy who's already on a yellow, and he got it on the bench. Like, come
And
on,
he's more of a hothead than Quaresma. Like,
yeah.
that's crazy.
Like,
Yeah,
that
It's-
blew
it's-
my mind.
It is crazy. He looked at the bench and saw, Neto's there, his guy was there.
Mm-hmm.
Nuno Santos on the other side, trust them
Sure,
more than
though.
them two.
I think at that point he was just trolling.
Yeah, it has to
he
be.
was in his toxic era for this one.
Has to
Yeah.
be.
I
But,
love,
just-
by the way, how long the ref spent looking at this on VAR. By the way, like
Yeah.
he
Probably watched it
really
20
didn't want.
times.
It was like he really didn't want to give a card, and he's like, I have no choice. Like
There were
I-
so
think
many
that-
angles of this instant as well. Just
he
like,
was
why
right
is it so
there.
many
He
different
could see
ones?
it.
I honestly think if he doesn't draw blood, he doesn't even give the card.
That's what
Nothing.
I said. I think if there's no blood, he's not doing it. He's not calling shit. He's
Because
just
it like
leaving it.
really makes clear that he made contact.
contact.
And
He
at
had
that
to
like
hit me.
decently strong contact,
Yep.
Yeah, and I think also him being on the floor for that amount of time as well gives the opportunity for VAR to be like, you should
Be like,
maybe look at
maybe
this."
take a look at it. Like,
If he gets up
Also-
straight away, then I don't know.
And the fact that they gave away the first goal, I think they made sure to give us one back, sort of. Not to say that this
I don't
isn't
know
a red.
about
I mean,
that.
it's clearly a red. Don't get me wrong, but like they could have also let this go at the same time.
I thought they were gonna let it go.
I mean,
Until
they
I saw
basically
blood, I thought they were letting
did
it go.
until the VAR intervened, right?
Yeah, that's true.
Until I
But
saw
even the replay-
blood.
Even the replay at first, I didn't think they were going to give it to him. But then when they showed Matheus Reis bleeding, I'm like, oh,
They
shit.
gotta give it to him.
Yeah,
Like,
he must have got him good.
yeah,
And I do
you
think
thought what I
because it's
thought.
Pepe as well, it's sort of like the NBA with Draymond Green. Because it is Pepe, it's like we can't give you the
Always-
benefit of the doubt. If
it's
that's a
always
Pedro,
people.
it's like so Pedro is like this is his first season as a proper professional in the first team. They're like, okay, we can
Pepe,
give that to
though.
Pedro, but to Pepe, no chance.
It's
No
always the
chance.
people you expect most. Sometimes it's always the people you always expect. What can you do?
But yeah, I don't think anyone here is going to disagree with that. Does anyone have anything to add on it?
No, it's got set off.
How many
It's
here
better.
actually think he bit his lip?
I think
For
he might
sure.
have done. I think he might have done a little bit of biting. It wouldn't shock
sure.
me.
Yeah. All right, I'll go with that too. I would have done the same thing.
I
Yeah,
think he
same.
did. I think he might have done a little bit of little bite of the lip there. And credit to him, because if you were like actually bet the inside of your mouth, that fucking hurts. Can you imagine doing that on purpose to try and draw blood? God,
You have to
And
remember,
you're already-
it's race, and he is mental anyway.
he's a
And-
psycho.
yeah.
Clearly,
You're already playing the game. The adrenaline's already flowing. He probably didn't even feel it.
as some people
Yeah.
would say, Danny, the game's the game.
The game is the
The
game.
game is the game.
Yes, there is one more, which is, to be honest, is one I didn't see until this morning when someone replied to me. With
Is
the
it
video.
Shiku?
No, it's this one, this Mateus Race one on. It will replay in a minute. Actually, I'm not waiting 12 seconds. Come on now.
Jogo da época para o Sport.
But if you watch it here,
Whoa!
I hear
Nathaniel's come
voices.
through. Oh,
My
Nathaniel's
bad.
come through.
You're good.
okay, let's watch it from the beginning. So watch Mateus Race here, and then it's here.
Oh, yeah.
So I'll try and rewind
That's
it.
gonna be a foul, yeah.
There's no sort of clearer vision.
Again, the ref right there too.
I'm surprised he doesn't call that.
This
one,
ref
yeah.
is horrible. To be fair,
Oh, he was bad all game. Yeah, like
this
let's
ref
not
is horrible.
make a mistake. Like
I guess that's as close as I can get it to. It does look like maybe there's an elbow up.
he body checked, so like it's a clean body check.
Yeah. If this okay, I don't know about the elbow here. I don't know this part, but it could have been a foul. It could have been a card, definitely. There's also another one on Teremi. Again, I was watching it on CMTV. I felt dirty watching that program, but nonetheless watched it. Where Teremi is jumping up for a header. You guys might remember this
Yeah.
one. He's jumping
Yeah,
up for a header, and
yeah.
also connects with his elbow. And they were saying that's a clear red. I'm also not too sure because he's jumping up. Like, what else do you expect with his arms
Yeah.
to be? Right?
I don't think that was intentional at all.
Yeah.
You know, it was a
exactly.
foul on the play. But I mean, this. I mean,
Could have been
it
a yellow.
looks-
This one.
It.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't. I would need a different. I think we would.
The
all need
video
a
is
different
very
angle.
unclear, and I have looked at
See,
a different angle, but unfortunately,
I think it
I
looks like a
cannot
foul
find one.
because you can just tell
It
he
looks
just
like a foul.
he just bodied. He went in there just to hit him.
Yeah.
Again, that's something I would have done too. But
Yeah.
but
Especially
yeah,
if
it's
that's
just a
Chico
foul, though.
Conceição, you can forgive.
Yeah,
it
unless it's
because
like
that
you-
guy is annoying.
Unless if you can actually see that he threw his elbow and he like connected to the player's face, you know, then yeah, maybe there's something for a red there. But I mean, I think this is just a foul to
Yeah.
send a message or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't given as a foul, and then Sport went on the counter attack. I don't think anything come of the counter attack, but you know,
Yeah.
it wasn't given. But I'm
I don't
pretty
think
sure
that was too big of a deal.
And the sort of the last big one, and I'll try not to play the video because you know copyright laws and sounds as well as we just heard.
And so leave it on this freeze frame. So initially we thought it was. I think everybody agreed. We thought it was being called back for offside. My initial thought when just in real time was he's offside, and they'll probably take a look at it. And then we realized, oh no, he's actually well onside because the far defender was putting him on. And then we're like, well, what's he looking at then? Because they drew the lines pretty quick on this one. I was surprised. And then we saw they were looking at the foul. So but again, it's a shot and it's the fall through hits the defender, kind of in the foot was what they were looking at. And that's what they ended up calling was a foul just outside the area. And Porto got the free kick. And they invented that call, in my opinion. That's, I don't know. It's a 50-50 ball. The guy's going for the ball and the shot, and this foot happens to be there. I don't know.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah.
The ref
Really-
bet the under.
I honestly think this one was more harsh than the first one. I really
Really?
do. Yeah, this one. I think this one's way more. I don't know. Maybe it's because the first goal was just a really pretty goal. I can actually understand more the first one that was taken away more than this one. I think this one was just didn't make sense to me. This is a clean goal in my opinion. Like you said, it's
Yeah.
two guys going for the ball. Well, actually, Bragança has possession of the ball, and I don't really see. Maybe there is some sort of contact there, but does the defender make any contact with
I
the
haven't
ball?
seen an angle that convinces me
No.
that he even.
No, I
kicks
think
his
this
foot.
one-
I
I
think
think
he
this
might
one is
even
more
just kick
clear.
through the ball. To be honest,
That's what I'm thinking, and it's just the momentum. It almost looks like he's hitting him, but like
And
But
again,
Bragança's got the ball.
even if he touches him slightly, it's like they're allowed to touch each other a little bit.
well, it's also like Bragança's in possession, and the Porto player is coming in
Yeah.
for the challenge. So Bragança's
Yeah.
not the one committing any.
and
like
it's funny. It's
he's
especially funny
technically in
because
defense mode.
this was pulled back for offside. Then he was
Initially,
onside,
yeah.
and they're like, actually, foul. You know, it's crazy.
That's what
Yeah.
drove me nuts because that was my initial. I was like, oh, they're calling it back for offside because I thought he was actually offside.
I thought he was offsides as well.
And then when I saw the replay, I said, "Oh shit! Actually, it's a lot closer because the fire defender was putting him just on, and they drew the lines quick. And then, like you said, Chris, they're like, actually, look at this foul, and I'm like, I don't even think there's a foul there. Like
Yeah.
he's shooting the ball, the defender's foot happens to be there, and like he's got possession anyway, so he's the one who's not getting. He's the one who'd be getting fouled in any situation.
Yeah, looking at like both while watching both of the goals that were called back, I was confident that this one was going to stand more than the other one. I had a feeling I had a feeling that the other one was going to get called back just simply because of the contact there. Even though it's harsh, even though I don't really agree with it, I just sort of understand it. And I know it ruins a beautiful play and a beautiful goal to go up 2-0 at halftime, but this one here is just, for me, is way harsher than the other one. I think this one's a clear goal. I don't understand this one at all.
Yeah. And for me, the main gripe I have with this one is, does Bragança hitting Navarro's foot affect the play in any way? And the answer is no.
No.
Because Navarro isn't going to get the ball anyway, and he doesn't really get the ball anyway. And it goes straight through to Paulinho, who scores. And like you guys thought, it was offside, because one, it's Paulinho. He's always offside.
He's offside at least twice a game. Like,
but I think even in
I mean,
the
to be
first
fair, he's not offside because the other defender's playing him on, but like he's in front of his man. And, you know,
Yeah.
even
He
didn't seem, he
yeah.
didn't even seem too bothered that it wasn't
Yeah.
allowed. Like
I think he thought he was offside still. That's why.
yeah, because he was
Like,
behind his man.
He was
And
well
there
behind the other
someone on
defenders.
the other
We just
side
all
kept
missed.
him
We
on.
all missed the guy on like the other side of the pitch. That's why.
Yeah, and for me, it's just like this doesn't affect the end result, which is a Paulinho goal. And I think I just don't understand. Like it did sort of feel like what Chris said. It's like, oh, it's offside. Oh, wait, it's not offside. Okay, there's a foul, but there is just no way
There's no
that
foul,
can
though.
affect the end result. Yeah, there's no foul. Like nothing. If Bragança doesn't make contact and Navarro gets like, I don't know how to explain it, but it does not affect the goal.
It's like when you come through and you come through on a big tackle, you win the ball, and then the bodies slam into each other. You know, it's
because
like,
Navarro doesn't
they're
win the ball.
allowed
That's
to
what, I
touch,
guess
you
that's what I'm
know?
trying to say. Navarro doesn't win the ball. If Navarro wins the ball and then it like ricochets off Navarro's foot because of the kick from Bragança, it's like, okay, fine. But Navarro just puts his foot there, obviously to try and win the ball, but he doesn't. And then Bragança ends up kicking him. Goes to Paulinho.
Maybe it's not even certain that he even kicks him. To be fair, I've not seen an angle that makes it clear.
I still don't know that he fully hits him. Yeah.
Yeah, I
think the ref just bet the under. That's my theory.
What was the under 2.5?
I don't know, but whatever the under was, I think he bet it.
Yeah, but I feel like this is going to be one of the, and Sporting have already come up with the communication and just said that like the VAR audio to this one is probably going to be the most requested, not from just the Sporting side, but I think also from a Porto aspect as well, from the Pepe red card and some other things that we saw throughout the game. But yeah, this one was, I agree, was definitely more harsh than the first. Danny, did you have any extra thoughts on this one?
No, I agree. I mean, I think the first one was more harsh, but this one's also pretty harsh too. Like you guys said, he had the possession of the ball. Nevada's the one trying to put his foot in front of it as he's shooting. I would say that's probably more of a foul on the Porto player than it would be on Sporting. And then we just got lucky. Paulinho was onside. He scores. Should have been 4-0. Should have been 3-0 at the very least. One of those two should have at least counted. But I just sent you a DM, Sam. I don't know if you want to have a look at that video. I don't know if we can play it or not. Because I think, and this was something that I only seen today, and I think this has more of a criteria than a red card than anything else that we've seen. But again, also, I'm not trying to. I mean, we won the game, right? If it was again, like, I'm not asking for the entire Porto squad to get like red carded, but Gyökeres passes the ball, and then Shiku's trying to play the ball, right? He's trying to stop him, but I've seen that given as a red many times.
I remember this one. Yeah.
No,
And
way.
by the way,
It's a yellow.
Shiku,
Yeah, yellow.
Shiku
Yellow
Conceição,
for me.
I believe it was his 7th yellow card of the season already.
Already,
Yeah.
we're not even.
He's a
midway through the
reserve.
season.
He's a reserve. He's averaging a yellow like every 43
14
minutes. I
We're,
mean,
14 games in?
impressive.
He's averaging a yellow card every second
Impressive
game.
booking rate for the lad.
Yeah, I forgot which game he missed. I think it was the last league match that was he missed the yellow card accumulation. I was like, wait, what? But he like gets these yellow cards and you don't even like realize that he's got them. I was like, man, like the kid barely plays. But
Bro saw Paulinho's yellow card ratio, was like, hold my beer.
yeah.
He's like, I love you. You're gonna see some stuff. You're about to witness greatness.
Dude's on like pace for like 18 yellow cards this season.
He's averaging a yellow card every second game, every other game.
You know how it's like 5 games.
Yeah, but you know,
4 suspension, 3 suspension, 2 suspension, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. Like, he's gonna get to the point where he might start missing every game for a booking.
Yeah.
No, yeah, I'm gonna have to do this. I'll probably post this. I'm gonna do the per 90 minutes, not just games, per 90.
Averaging.
Yeah.
Nice.
But yeah, I don't think this is a red card. I think it's a yellow. But I would agree with what Danny says. We've definitely seen them given.
They've been given.
But even at the time of the other reds, I don't think this is
It's a yellow.
a red card. Yeah, it's a yellow card. And I think at that point, I think we're already 2-0 up. Game's done. They're already a man down. Anyway. Like, you know what I mean? It's not going to affect that much in the grand scheme of things.
I'm just saying, in terms of like VAR mistakes, I think this might be another one.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. But yes, I believe that is it on the castles. Unless anyone else has a
there's no other cause.
I have
That's all the main cause.
I have one Kazu, but I want to. It's just something to pick Rui's brain on, unless it's been talked about, because I have missed a little bit.
What's the cause? We can tell you.
It's not a Kazu. It's a Kazu in terms of like what's Sergio Conceição thinking, because Pep got the red card, and you guys only subbed in a central defender like 15 minutes later.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I touched up on that.
Okay. Just making sure.
Just the adjustments after, even at halftime, things should have just been made differently. You should have brought on Chico Conceição, I think, because the kid's full of energy. He's been performing quite well this year.
He's been producing results, goals.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think his defensive what do you say? Ability is really underrated. I think he's super energetic. He does well pressing, and I think that's part of the reason why he's got so many yellow cards. I think he's a little undisciplined in some of his challenges, but he still provides that spark, and he's wonderful on the ball. So I expected him and even João Mendes to come in for Zaidu, because it's much like you guys, but it didn't seem like it in this game. I know you guys have your issues on your wing backs and whatever. We've been dealing with this guy for 3 or 4 seasons. It's time to go. You know,
when he was linked to Nottingham this summer, I was like, really?
Take the money and run.
Okay.
Take the money and run.
Go for it.
Yeah, but yeah, he should have made some adjustments right at halftime, and then after the red card, he didn't make a substitution until the 75th minute or 73rd minute. It didn't make sense. But that's typical Sergio.
That would have been like Ben Johnny to fucking Man City when they got money by. It's like, yeah, get on the fucking plate now, or I'm gonna kill you, kind of thing. Like, get your ass going.
I will ask you, Rui. Obviously, there's been a lot of debate with the presidential election that's coming up for Porto. If you don't mind saying, what side of the fence do you sit on currently? We can move on if I know.
You move on if you don't want. That's amazing. Like, I don't want to get harassed online more than anything.
I hope both sides have fun and no one gets hurt.
Okay, no problem.
No, I to be honest, I don't know. I want a new trajectory. I think it's time for it, and I think a lot of it has to do with Pinto da Costa just being 85 years old. You know, I think it's time. I think football's changed, and I think Pinto da Costa should just ride into the sunset, and that's it. Just kind of be around the club and whatnot. Obviously, the guy's freaking legend to us, but I think we just need a different approach. You know, and I think he's corrected his wrongs in the last couple of I want to say in the last year, in terms of slapping the high release clauses on players. I think that was one of the things that he failed to do in the last 3 or 4 years prior. You know, selling players like Fabio Vieira and Vitinha for 35, 40 or 30 million euros or whatever it is. That's ridiculous business. But I think he's made some improvements in the last 6 to 12 months on players, slapping release clauses on them. But at the end of the day, I think it's a little too late, and I think he's too old, and we need a different face, refresh button, you know, end of an era. And it's been quite an era.
Definitely. Yeah. I mean, from an outsider's perspective, I feel like, he's a legend, and no one can sort of under sort of perform his achievements because he's done so much for Porto, and he really does symbolize Porto as well, I would say, from an outsider's perspective as well. But it does feel like you said, the last few years, losing players. I think your biggest issue is losing players on frees, like Mbemba.
Great point.
I think did Jesus Corona leave on a free as well?
Yeah, there's at least like one every year. That's always.
I think he left in January, but it was like a dumb. His contract was going to expire in June, so I think it was like 5 million euros, which you know, whatever, it's something. I mean, I would take that for Teremi in January. I would just take something, but you know, you should do better. Corona was still in his prime. You could have gotten more money for him in the summer. If you can't renew, you have to sell. You know, we're not not really. Manchester United is not a really good example, but we're not Man City. We're not Man City. We're not Real Madrid or Liverpool or whatever. Where you can afford a guy to ride it out into the sunset and just leave, you know, on a free. Yeah. You can't do that here.
It's the reality of Portugal. You can't really afford to light your money on fire like that as a Portuguese team. It's just it's suicidal.
Yeah. Now, I do think as well, maybe it could take some competition in the form of Villas-Boas for. No, I don't like. No, I'm not saying either one will win, but it might be the case of having a better opponent to run against. That he might, if he does win the next election, he might think, okay, I'm on a shorter leash now. That I know there's people that want Villas-Boas or someone else. So
they want some sort of change.
So maybe that might make Pinto da Costa step up a bit. But one more thing I do want to touch on from a Porto perspective as well was there a Champions League draw that has just come up in round 16, and of course they are facing Arsenal, a team that obviously is anonymous, but you know, we have a history with them, especially last year with Arsenal. But what are your thoughts, Rui, on the overall draw with Arsenal?
Could have been better, could have been worse, but I'm okay with it. I think we have a shot to upset them. 100%. I think they're a wonderful team in the Premier League, but I think when you're in Europe, it's a different ball game. The second that you have this Champions League DNA, that experience, that culture, being around in this competition really shows. I think Porto made a couple of nice runs over the last several years because of that, even them being underdogs. And you see it with Real Madrid winning the Champions League again and whatnot. Teams that it seems like every year the same teams go further and go as far as you can go. So I think that always plays a part. And despite them playing in their domestic league, not at the best level, they do well somehow in the Champions League. I still think Manchester City are going to go really far this year. I think they've developed it. So I think we have a shot. Arsenal are a great team. I think pound for pound, they're better than us in terms of quality, but the competition's different.
Yeah.
How much do you fear Fabio Vieira leaking Sergio Conceição's tactics throughout the locker room, bro?
I don't know. We should buy someone from you know,
Yeah,
at this point, we should buy someone from Arsenal in January just to
fuck with them, just for the mind games.
I mean, he's obviously gonna have to do what he's got to do, but I don't think that's much worry. I don't think they obviously they know how Porto are. Porto are like the second tier Atletico Madrid in this competition. They just play very conservative, very organized in the back and everything. So Arsenal are aware of what Porto can bring. But I don't know. Maybe Fabio's going to tell them a thing or two. But I don't think it'll make much of a difference. I think Arsenal is going to do what they usually do. And if it pays off, if they end up performing well, then, you know, it's theirs to take. But I think despite our issues, we can still upset them and go through to the next round.
I think you guys will, and then they'll be saying, you know, Arsenal Fan TV will be on saying, you know, we're focusing in on the league. We don't need these extra competitions. Just
like, bro, it is the Champions League.
But no, just to bottle the league again, like they did with us last season. I'm telling you, this is what's going to happen.
As soon as I started seeing about Benfica being top of the league, I knew it was over for them. I knew Man City were going to come.
It was Jover.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But one other thing I want to add for the Champions League draw is that Copenhagen reminds us of, reminds me at least of when Sporting got drawn against Man City, when we're like, yes, we made the round 16 for like the first time in ages. And it's like, oh, Man City.
Oh, never mind. I guess that's
why is it? Going. Here's my question: why is it always City grabbing these sort of teams?
Yeah, and I saw something on some Manchester City fan saying complaining about how Arsenal got Porto.
Crazy.
They're like,
bro,
oh,
you got Copenhagen,
and they were saying, yeah, I'm like, dude, you got Copenhagen, and we're not even that Copenhagen.
Bad. Every year they somehow get Leipzig in their group. It's kind of sus, like
some shenanigans.
I don't want to talk down on that Sporting team as well, but we were so close. Originally, we got Juventus, didn't we? And then
we got Juventus. We were like, you know what, we could do that. We thought it was doable because Juventus sucked. And then they're like, oh, we fucked up the draw. We got to do the whole draw again.
It was wrong.
It was wrong, even though nothing was actually wrong. And then they're like, we just need to do it again. I'm like, oh, you bastards. We actually had hope.
What could have been. But then I guess we did face Juventus like the year after the Europa League and lost anyway. So, I mean, I don't know.
True.
Yeah, and then we focused battled it against basically that same Juve team.
Yeah, we bottled it that year, to be fair.
Fucking fuck that game.
But yeah, there is also the Europa League draw, and
all the Portuguese teams got a good draw.
Danny's favorite team.
Listen, let me just say, my favorite thing about waking up Monday morning was seeing Young Boys.
Okay.
Well, pause. What do you mean by that?
And then you saw the Europa League draw afterwards.
And then I seen the exactly.
Yikes.
Yeah, honestly, good draws for all the Portuguese teams.
All of them got like a pretty favorable draw.
Accessible opponent, as they say in Portugal.
Braga's biggest thing is just the journey there and back.
Yeah,
that's gonna be a hike.
Would be a good away day though. I think maybe not on a Thursday, but like
Karabag.
Yeah, away days are full.
Baku, right? It's actually
Baku, Azerbaijan.
It's like
we played
of
them a few years ago.
The Dubai of like Central Asia.
Yeah,
the Dubai of the former Soviet Russia.
Yeah.
Wait, that team is from Azerbaijan.
Yeah, we played them in the Europa League a few years ago, pre-COVID, I think.
I think it was in the Champions League. They were in
it was the Europa.
Was
it like Nani Bruno.
Yeah. Remember Nani scored that worldie?
He scored that banger.
I thought we played them in the Champions League as well. Like when we had
like
Chelsea.
In the Champions League though, yeah.
They've been, but no.
When we had that group with Chelsea, I was sure that they were in.
It was the 18-19 group stage where we had Arsenal in our group as well.
That is correct.
That is correct.
Braga gets Karabag. We get Young Boys. And Benfica gets Toulouse. So You're gonna have a hard time to losing. There's a
Yeah,
one somewhere.
It's
I go, fuck
Benfica's
it.
to lose, you know.
It's their time to lose. Correct. We got there eventually. Yeah,
we have
favorable
fun
draw
here.
for all of them though.
Yeah, definitely. And I think for a sporting perspective, Amrim can say all he likes that it's not the priority and the league is the priority, but
This should be a priority.
this should be a priority and this should be, I don't want to say an easy win because I don't think any game in like Europa League is easy per se. And obviously, I don't think
There's
any of us
still
watch the Swiss league.
On
in general.
paper, it should be a win, but don't underestimate young boys. Like they're a pretty tough team. Like
They came from the Champions League. You know,
Yeah,
they're a
so
Champions
there's
League team
pedigree
technically,
there.
so.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I think it's a favorable draw. It will be good to. I think it'll be a good game regardless for all the Portuguese teams. But it'll be good to get those coefficient points up as well.
I expect to see all three of them into the next round. With the way this draw, like they avoided Shakhtar, they avoided AC Milan, like they avoided some pain in the ass teams. They avoided Feyenoord. Feyenoord playing the Roma again. They must be sick of playing each other the last like 3-4 seasons. That's just something I noticed. But yeah, they also avoid Galatasaray, who I would not want to make that away day as a player. Yeah, I expect
that was one of the
all
teams
four
I really didn't want. I really didn't want Galatasaray.
I
feel
really
like
didn't want
we would have struggled
Galatasaray,
there.
man. I was like, let me avoid Galatasaray.
And obviously Milan as well. But I think those are the two that I was like, if we get them, it's going to be difficult.
It was those two and like maybe Feyenoord, but that'd be.
I didn't want Shakhtar personally.
Yeah.
You know what? That's fair. That's fair. It's there's always going to be some pretty good teams coming down from Champions League. This is the last season that they have the Champions League dropouts as well.
Yeah.
They moved to the new
The group
money making format with the single table.
Yeah.
But yeah.
The coefficient points. I also don't think, like we said earlier, I don't think we could rule Porto out. I feel like it's going to be a good game between Porto and Arsenal. Definitely a very physical game as well. I feel like Porto can definitely match Arsenal's physicality. But we'll find out eventually, I suppose. But one thing I do want to share before we wrap up, it will be a quick one. Just the league predictions that we all had for the Porto game. So Danny unfortunately didn't have time to edit his in. I think he was too drunk. I think too many beers and the pre-game nerves were kicking in. But yeah,
Sam's the only one who got the actual result, but I'm the only one who had a goal scorer, so we only got 1 point each.
I did think it would be a 1-0 Paulinho, like 90th minute.
I almost put 1-0 Jokeres, and I left it at 1-1, and I was stupid for doing that.
I mean, I thought Gyökeres was going to score one, and that Pot was going to score the other one too. I think I should get
Yeah,
you actually did put in the prediction, but it must have got wiped or something.
Yeah, wiped out there, brother. I don't know.
No. So 1 week I don't bet on, or I don't put in. Well, I didn't put in anything, but I didn't put in Pot. Like, is the week he finally scores? So
this is the table out right now. So I'm still in first by I go up 1 point. Chris is on 31. Denny's on 30. Sam is just 5 points behind, but that's 5 points. He can make that up. Where you're having a tough time making it up is fantasy.
Good segue, because I was just about to.
That's what I assumed you were going to. Another big week for me on fantasy.
I actually do need to load it up first. But
although I left some points on the bench.
Even in my FPL Premier League one, I'm just doing awfully bad, and I'm at the point where it's like I have to pick players that people aren't going to pick, if that makes sense, because I'm not going to make up the points otherwise.
You got to try. Yeah, if you have the same guys as everybody else, you're just not going to catch up.
But it was my luck on the FPL was that I put Solanke as captain, and then there was a heart attack in the game. I was just like,
and the game got
canceled.
And he scored.
Crazy.
Just my luck. But yeah, in the I won't show the team just because of time constraints. Been here for nearly an hour and a half. But yes, I'm down there in 656 points. Pretty much 100 points ahead of me is Richard, and that with 77. Very good game week. Chris with 62, and Danny still top of the table.
Back on top.
And I will say I left some points on the bench. I had benched Diamande initially. So I left, I think my other central defender got like 3 points. Yeah, if I took
Thiago's guy 12 points. Why did you put the Rocker player in, man? I'm confused. You put in Thiago's guy.
Thiago's guy's been my team for time, brother.
But Rocker been so bad. So that's why in my team, if I can get back to it, I can't remember who they were playing against, but I put I think it might be from Militao, someone. But Gil Vicente, I think it was. No, I put loads of Gil Vicente plays in because I was like, oh, they're going to smack
I
up.
did
And of
too.
course, I've got Arabuena in the best game
Injuries, too.
I started Fujimoto and I have Arsonist on my bench, and Arsonist would have got me at least a few more points.
See, I left a couple
But-
points with Diamande, and I left some points on my goalie, I think, as well.
Yeah.
That's it.
With me though, I'll get back to you on the next podcast. I need to see how many times I've scored 69 points because I'm convinced at this point it's like 4 or 5 times this week.
It'd be around there.
Sixth place in Canada as well, Danny. You're sixth.
That's pretty not
I'm
too
the
bad.
6, and I got 69. Turn that 9
Nice.
upside down. It's a 6. Jesus Christ.
You guys still
I
have
beat
you both
Toronto.
still have buzz, and Horta let me and Chris down this week. I've transferred Horta for Pot. I had some free transfers and some.
I had
bunch.
Pot
He
this
almost
time,
scored, but
He almost.
Yeah,
Big save from Twitter.
I put Pot back in over him.
I had Diop
Yeah.
Costa on my bench, but Andrew, picked up the points for me. This
I had
week.
Videla starting, but I had Batista on my bench, so I could have got an extra point from Batista if I started him.
Yeah,
That's really
13th
it.
in America for Chris as well. So
Not
yeah.
bad.
Nice.
But other than that, I don't think there's anything else to add.
What are you in
unless
the
we-
UK, Sam? I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, go on. Let's have a look.
Let's have a look.
I'm not last. I'm
Thank God.
131st out of 200.
You're not last, but you better
I'm not
hope the
far.
guy from last doesn't lose his account, is what you're saying.
Yeah, it's not far off, to be honest.
Yikes.
But yeah, I don't think there's anything else unless anyone else has got anything to add.
Nothing on my end. Like, we probably won't do
handball
it.
had a great weekend. They beat Porto and Benfica, Supertaça.
Yes.
I don't want to pile on more on Porto, but
And
the basketball
Porto,
team also
and
just
they
beat them
also
too.
beat-
And they beat Porto
Yeah.
in basketball too.
Sorry,
good
brother.
Good week be playing Porto, I guess.
The sweep this weekend for Sporting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
other than
think
that-
I think this is probably our last show of this calendar year. I'm assuming, because I don't
Yes.
think we're going to be doing a show on Boxing Day / Christmas Day or whatever the hell.
To
it lands
talk
on.
only about the Taça Liga game.
So
Yeah.
we'll probably be back in the new year once we've had the Taça Liga and another league game to go through. So yeah, we'll wish everybody now a happy holidays, whatever you're celebrating. Happy New Year. Stay safe. Yeah. Anything
Yeah.
else to add? Go nuts.
definitely drink a lot. Basically, is what Richard's trying to say.
Or don't like, but I will.
Or don't, but
Or
you
don't,
can
but I
if you
probably
want.
You have,
if you
you have
want.
free will. You're fine. Do what you
Yeah.
want. But yeah, I will say a special thank you again for Reed coming on. I know it probably wasn't the best appearance to make with the result and everything, but we do appreciate you coming on as well. So yeah, I hope you had a good time as well, considering the
The
result.
circumstances.
Yeah.
No, definitely, guys. Always enjoy. I was here on the show last year, and it was a reverse fixture basically, but always had
That's
a good
why
time.
I wasn't on it last year.
But no, I knew what I was getting myself into. You guys are all good guys, and I listen to your podcast quite often, and you guys do a great job and everything. You guys keep it funny too. You all have good input, so I knew it was going to be a good time and good discussion and whatnot. So I'm happy to be on here, and definitely looking forward to the next matchup.
Yeah, and make sure you do follow the Twitter account for the Porto podcast. Even if you're a Sporting fan, you can still give it a listen. As I'm sure
Yeah.
most of us do here anyway. But yeah, definitely. And also make sure you follow Danny there. You can follow Chris there. Also follow Richard there. You can also follow myself. There we go. Myself there. But most importantly, make sure you follow all things Alvalade on all social media and podcast platforms to keep up to date with transfer rumors and podcasts and everything like that. Other than that, thank you for watching. See you next time. Peace.